Rolling at 7-1, and Patrick Mahomes leads the league in touchdown passes and yards. Now in Cleveland, it's been a rocky week with Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley both getting fired. Baker Mayfield was asked about expanding his leadership role, and he said, quote, "Bring it on." So Shannon, do you give the Browns any shot to beat the Chiefs?
I mean, this sports, and that's what we love about them, Skip, because you have a chance. One game, anything can possibly happen. But if I had to bet some money that meant something to me, and if I'm betting it's my money, and it damn sure means something to me, I'm not putting a dime that Cleveland's going to win this ball game. I would be willing to give you those 8 points. The Chiefs are loaded, and the Cleveland, they're not an explosive offense, Skip. The last 4 games, they average less than 17 points a game. And in the last 4 games, they have 20 total points. Well, we know with Kansas City, they normally get the ball and go right down the field and score. So they already put you in a deficit. And you can't go 3 and out against them because Patrick Mahomes is playing unbelievable football. He's playing like the best quarterback in football right now. And he's the early favorite to possibly win. And we're going to talk about this later, Skip, the MVP. But they're loaded offensively. And Andy Reid is going to give you a lot of formations. He's going to give you a lot of motion and try and confuse you. And now Sammy Watkins, they've gotten Sammy Watkins integrated into the offense. We know what Tyreek Hill, we know what Travis Kelce, and we know what Kareem Hunt can do. And now they've unleashed Sammy Watkins. So that makes their offense even more dynamic. Now, to Cleveland's credit, they do lead the NFL in takeaways. Unfortunately, their offense hasn't been able to capitalize on those, Skip. But I just believe that the Kansas City will go in here, take care of business. A couple of things can happen. They can rally behind Greg Williams, Hugh being gone, Todd Haley being gone. They can rally for Greg Williams, or it could completely come apart. But it's interesting, Skip. I don't know if you thought about this. I was thinking about this the other day. A coach that was suspended for the entire year for Bountygate is now a head coach, but that's neither here. We don't worry about that, Skip. That's what they put.
He also claims that recently he's been offered 4 jobs with no interviews, like 4 head coaching jobs. So I don't know.
And he took this one. But I just believe that the Chiefs showed me a little something defensively. They're getting a little better. But because the Browns are not explosive, they don't have big play potential. And I don't see them. I don't really see how they can get to a number, because it's going to take something in the 30s in order to beat this team, maybe even the 40s. The game that they lost, he took 43 points. And I don't know if Cleveland possessed that kind of firepower. Now, if they get a kick return, punt return, touchdown, get a scoop and score a pick 6, hey, anything can happen. But minus that, I just don't see them being talented enough offensively to put Kansas City in harm's way.
I am with you on this point spread. It is baffling to me. I don't get it because it's been bet down from 8.5 to 8. And really? Only 8? I think Kansas City should win by 3 touchdowns. The Cleveland Browns, maybe predictably, have fallen right back on their faces in dysfunction. And now this is a classic case of 2 quarterbacks. And as you well know, especially at the position of quarterback, you can either be a victim of or a product of your circumstance that you fall into. So what have we seen with these 2 quarterbacks? They both came from Texas Tech. What happened to Baker Mayfield? He had a nice first year, and then he clashed with Cliff Kingsbury, and he said, I'm out.
I'm outie.
And he took a year off, and he transferred and walked on at Oklahoma, and the rest is Heisman history. Right?
Yep.
So in comes Patrick Mahomes behind him at Texas Tech. He clicks with Cliff Kingsbury, and he has a year in which he throws 41 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Baker, meanwhile, finds his soulmate, his big brother figure in Lincoln Riley, one of the best play callers I've ever seen, and he goes 43 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions at the same time. And they have a classic shootout at Tech, but Baker finds himself with a little better team, not much better defense, about the same, but just better weapons.
Yeah, especially offensively.
Okay, better offensive weapons. So he wins the shootout against Patrick Mahomes, where they both throw for whatever it was,
Well, Pat Mahomes set the NCAA record with 734 passing yards, 819 total. Baker had over 500. I think they had 1,700 total yards.
So Baker won that game. But then, big picture, Patrick Mahomes wins the chess match going into the NFL because Andy Reid handpicked him. And Andy Reid is not he is a great quarterback coach and play caller. And all of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes drops into a team that over his Andy Reid's years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they've been really good every year. I mean, even the last 2 years, they're 12-4 and 10-6. That's the team he got to take over with all the weapons you just detailed. Well, is there a better situation for a first-year quarterback? No. Maybe in the history of the NFL? Andy Reid and the weapons?
Think what? When this was happening, when Andy traded, like, Andy, what are you doing? You trading all these picks to move up to take Pat? Because I thought, I thought like everybody else, he moved up to take Deshaun Watson.
I thought so.
Oh, he about to get. Oh, Deshaun about to. And with the 10th pick, Pat Mahomes. I'm like, what? I mean, he's not going to even play. I mean, Alex Smith was, taking him. I'm like, they need a. But Andy saw something. Yep. Andy said this offense can be so much more with these weapons if we get a guy. Because the difference is between Pat Mahomes, Skip, and Alex Smith is that Pat Mahomes will take chances with the football. He will push the ball down the field. In order to be explosive, you got to be willing to take chances. You can't let the big fish are in the deep. Very seldom, only if the well gets beached is he hanging around in shallow water. Yep. And Alex Smith wants to hang around in shallow water. He want to take the screen. He want to take the jailbreak. He want to take the flat route. Pat Mahomes, I'm going over the top. And so, but this right here, Skip, he's like, yeah, you got me. When we was in college, you got me. Yeah. Made me look bad. Yeah. But I'm back now. Yeah. And I got some help.
What happened? So what happened to Baker Mayfield? He goes #1 overall to the Cleveland Browns. And it looked like they were starting to turn around, and then Hard Knocks happened. Hard Knocks wrecked that football team because it wrecked the coaching staff because it pitted Hugh Jackson against Todd Haley, basically, and sometimes against Greg Williams.
But Skip,
it turned into a snake pit.
Yeah, but wouldn't you know, I mean, Todd Haley's personality and Hugh, even from the outside, that doesn't mesh.
No, it doesn't mesh. And Greg Williams got a big too.
Man, look, I don't really think anybody was putting on for Hard Knocks, which further like, Hugh, what were you thinking? I get that, sometimes, Skip, you get these great offensive minds. You're a head coach and you want the best offensive coordinator. You want the best defensive coordinator. But at the end of the day, it's got to be about fit.
Yep.
If your personality doesn't match his personality, I don't give a damn how good the play calling is. Because eventually, this is what's going to happen.
What's going to happen?
And guess what? Both of you up out of there.
You're both out of there. And now Hugh is saying, and it might be a little 20/20 hindsight, but he's looking back saying, well, if we had taken Wentz or Mahomes or Deshaun, then we would have been better off. So clearly he didn't buy completely into Baker. Right. I think he likes him but didn't love him. Right. And again, I never said Baker's going to be like a perennial Pro Bowler. I just think he's the best of this crop.
I think what he's saying, Skip, is that we wouldn't have been 1-15. We wouldn't have been 0-16 had we grabbed one of those guys. And then maybe I'm getting judged differently. But when you're 1-15, 0-16, you really need to get off to a flying start to change the perception of that you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yep.
Because that's what people are thinking right now. I think he was a great play caller. I don't know, he's had 2 head coaching jobs. I think it was premature that he got released by the Raiders. He finished 8-8.
I agree with that.
But when you go 1-15, 0-16, Skip, the leash isn't very long for you to prove that, do you know what you're doing? Or you just bull jiving here? And once they started clashing, hold on, I can accept, like Mr. Kraft says, I can accept, you guys clashing, Tom and Coach Belichick. We winning. We getting to and winning Super Bowls. Now, ain't no owner putting up with no clashing if you're not winning, Skip.
Nope.
You got to go.
So Hugh was the one who pushed for the undrafted free agent Desmond Harrison to play left tackle to protect Baker's blind side, and it's been a disaster.
Right.
So that was a bad idea. Then
the worst idea with Joe Thomas retiring.
Yeah.
Had Joe Thomas not retired, it might have been a different story.
Thank you. And then I don't know what happened to Josh Gordon, but somehow Tom Brady's getting some use out of Josh Gordon. In fact, that's kind of all he's really got is a way of a deep threat.
Right.
And yet they said no. So Baker lost Josh Gordon, then he lost Rashard Higgins, and then he lost Derek Willis, and it's rough, man. Right. So he's in a terrible spot. Could he have some success if you dropped him into Kansas City right now? Yeah, he would. Is he as talented as Patrick Mahomes? No, he's not. He's not as big, and he doesn't have, obviously, the arm. Not that arm.
Right. But Josh Gordon had to go, Skip. Because in that situation, he was always going to be the Josh Gordon that he had become. And maybe he can transition now.
I got that. But could Baker have used him? Well, sure.
Oh, yeah, he can use him. Yeah. Okay. A lot of teams can use him. But can we always count on you?
Nope.
It'll be interesting to see what Baker does now, though.
It's going to be a rough. It's going to be a tough one.
But can anyone stop the Rams in the NFC? We'll discuss that with